Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Starman Talk to Talks. Again, we have Curtis.
It's becoming a regular problem here.
Yeah, this is what happens when people make schedules without my knowledge.
Yeah. How dare they?
Yeah. God forbid they just tell me, hey, we're not going to be in next week. You want to maybe schedule for that?
Yeah.
Anyway, problems aside.
Grievances and despair aside. Yeah.
Me and Curtis decided, let's talk Castlevania, because that's one of our favorite series, if you haven't guessed by looking at our channel history.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. An easy and fun topic.
Yeah. It was this or Pokemon, and we might do Pokemon down the road.
Yeah, just figured it's something that we both have history with. Up to a point, at least, for me.
Yeah. So, where did you drop off on Castlevania? Or are you talking Pokemon?
I've been meaning Pokemon
Yeah.
when I said that anyways.
Yeah.
I've been keeping up with Castlevania. The problem is Castlevania dropped off, not me.
Yeah. I would have kept going, but no.
Yeah. No, they pulled the plug on it. Yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah.
A lot of my favorite series died around that same time. And
oh, yeah, you were devastated.
Yeah, Mega Man died around 2010-ish. Castlevania died around 2010-ish. It was just bad times.
Alright, so first game that got you into the series.
I think I messed around with the NES games and rentals and stuff like that, but the first game I really played was Circle of the Moon when that came out.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was the one I played first of all, and liked it quite a bit. I was fascinated by the idea of a Gothic game with a Metroid style format, I guess you'd say.
Oh no.
And yeah, it's a really neat game. I find it a little hard to go back to these days, just because to me it feels a bit basic in comparison to the other similar style Castlevania games, but it's still a good time.
Oh yeah. I did play a bit of the NES one.
Yeah.
But I felt the game series was too hard at that point, so I didn't really enjoy it.
I did like them. I just, and I still do love them, obviously, because we played through Castlevania 4 on this very channel. Yeah. I just, unfortunately, for whatever reason, I just didn't own them when I was a kid, so I just didn't have as much of that beyond rentals, unfortunately.
The game that really brought the series back into the light for me was actually Aria of Sorrow.
Yeah.
As you see, our channel has that on it, too.
Yep.
That was the game. I was like, oh, they did something really good with it.
Yeah. Was my double pack the first game you played, or?
Yeah.
Okay. I loaned you that Harmony of Dissonance and Aria double pack.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I played a bit of Harmony of Dissonance, and then I played Aria, and I really got into Aria.
That was the one that you really clicked with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did get through Dissonance, but it took me a bit longer than I would have liked to admit.
Yeah. It's a bit unfriendlier in some weird ways, but it's also very good.
And then I went and sought out Symphony of the Night next.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that game was a blast. If I had owned a PlayStation back then, I would have definitely rented it and absolutely loved it. But I actually first played it on the Xbox 360 arcade.
Oh, nice! I played it on the PSP.
Nice.
With Rondo of Blood, so...
Yeah.
So I bought the game for Symphony of the Night when technically it's being sold as Rondo of Blood.
The Dracula X.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, the Dracula X remake. Yeah, that's great. I think you had to actually beat a few levels of Dracula X in order to actually unlock Symphony in that game too.
Yeah.
So, that's hilarious. Just let me play Symphony already.
Yeah, exactly. You had to get to level 3 and take a certain path.
Yeah.
I looked it all up and everything.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not going to beat the Rondo of Blood. I'm not good at that kind of Castlevania.
I really like Rondo. Rondo is up there with my favorites of the Vania style, the Metroidvania style Castlevanias, I'd say. It's in terms of the classic style games, it just has the best I guess, gallery of bosses, and I really like the branching paths and the secrets and that sort of thing that's scattered throughout the game. It's a good time.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So next on the question block was, what do we like about the games?
Okay.
And I think we already touched on it: the Gothic feel and monster design.
Those are my two first and foremost draws to the series. Is that like I used to absolutely love just like flipping through Nintendo Power and saying, "Oh man, these are so cool! I wish I had these games."
Yeah.
I love this giant skull with his giant tongue. I wish I could play this game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was definitely my first exposure to the series, was seeing screenshots of the monsters and just the overall feel of the game through Nintendo Power, and then actually playing it. Like I just loved seeing the next boss, seeing the next cool enemy design inspired by mythology or just inspired by good old Gothic horror.
Yep.
Bringing back the old mummy and werewolf and Frankenstein's monster from the old movies.
Yeah.
Like, all that stuff is just awesome.
Like, for a kid like me who loved all, like, the old monster movies.
Yeah.
To see them in a game, I was like, this is hype.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how much the first Castlevania game leaned into that. Like, to the point where there's, like, it had, like, almost like a film strip design, like, at times.
Yeah.
It's like, this is just literally a movie monster homage, I guess you'd call it. And the ending credits had like references instead of the actual developer's name. So they had references to like famous horror movie presences and actors and that sort of stuff too. Yeah. It's funny that the series decided to become its own thing after the first one really was just such a horror movie pastiche, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of like monster design, what's your favorite boss in any of them?
Oh man, that's hard. Jeez. The first one that comes to mind is just probably Legion, just because it as a recurring presence.
Yes.
It's always memorable.
Yeah.
Giant corpse ball.
Yeah.
Screaming at you. Doing its thing. Expose the core to be a flailing monstrosity shooting lasers at you.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm happy with that. There's lots of fun skeletons like that they put in all the games, like a gardener skeleton and one that's just kicking his head around.
Yep.
Always
Butler skeleton that throws curry at you.
Always enjoyable to see the variations on the skeletons.
Yeah.
I love Beelzebub as just a giant, hideous, monstrous corpse hanging on hooks.
Yes.
One of the more grotesque bosses in the series.
Hey, one of my favorite bosses, but he's just in one game, is Dimitri.
Oh, yes.
Because he just mirrors yours.
Now I've got your power.
Yeah, basically, I have your power. And you can either make him super hard or nerf the hell out of him.
Making the joke by throwing Une at him, the little plant.
Yeah. I had him throwing cats at me. He became the crazy cat man.
Nice. Yeah, or you can be crazy and hit him with Death Scythe and Abaddon and make the fight a total hell.
Yeah. And then you're just like,
mess.
Wow, I screwed up.
What have I done? What have I done?
Yeah. So yeah, games in the series. Games that maybe weren't our favorite or had some flaws that kind of stick out to us.
Yeah. Let's see. I love the idea of Starmen's Quest. I really do. I was frustrated by a couple things in it. The one being the fact that it was too cryptic for its own good, and a lot of fan hacks have come out since then to remedy that.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of traveling to different towns and traversing a giant, wide open map to figure things out. But yeah, it just had some really silly things in it.
Yeah.
And I was also bothered by the distinct lack of bosses. Like, they had like these mansions where you'd find Dracula's parts, but there was really nothing guarding them for the most part.
No, it was just,
yeah.
Oh, you found it. Okay, move on.
Yeah. There was a fight with Camilla's head, and a fight with Death, and then a fight with Dracula at the end. But none of the fights were even really noteworthy or enjoyable. Like, Yeah, it just felt like it felt like a game where its ambitions vastly outstripped its execution in a lot of places, and it seems like there's been some really good attempts to rectify a few of those flaws over the years.
Yeah.
And I've always meant to go back and play like some of the ROM hacks that address some of those problems.
It felt like the Link's Adventure of Castlevania.
Yeah.
Just a little too cryptic or obscure in some areas.
The foundations of brilliance are there. I just wish there had been a bit more polish to it all. Yeah. And then there's a couple of games that are just downright not good. Like the first Castlevania game on Game Boy, Castlevania the Adventure.
Oh God!
Just a sluggish mess of just crap. About the only good thing I can say about that game that I genuinely like about it is the music. Everything else is just really not fun to play.
No,
it's just like you walk like a slug. There's a lot of super unfair gotcha type stuff in it, and trial and error that it's just not a very fun Castlevania game. Unfortunately, it sucks.
Yeah.
And then there's the god awful Haunted Castle for the arcade, which is just silly.
Yeah. I forgot that existed.
Yeah, it's better off forgotten.
Yeah. Like I was going to talk about the 64 ones.
There's something about those I kind of like.
They're rough, but
exactly. It's kind of like Simon's Quest, where there's some really cool ideas and like Gothic atmosphere there, and then they just are just a bit little, rough around the edges.
Yeah.
There's something to enjoy about both Castlevania games, even if they suck. But there are a couple that are a little beyond the pale for me. I've never played what is it called? Order of Shadow, or I think it's something like that. For the mobile phones, apparently that's a silly game too. So
oh, okay. No, I don't.
I have not played that one.
Mobile games are not something
I don't. I also tend to avoid mobile games like the plague if they're trying to. Oh, hey, it's your favorite franchise and it's on mobile. Is it good? Probably not.
No, we're just trying to cash in.
We're just cashing in.
Yeah. Speaking of the Xbox 360 ones, the one with Gabriel, I think it is.
Yeah, yes. Lords of Shadow.
Lords of Shadow. I have not touched those. They don't appeal to me.
They are very different. I do like them as their own thing, but it's hard to call them...
Castlevania.
Yeah, like there's elements there, and they're clearly banned because like you're fighting characters that are from the older games as well. Like Camilla's there. They sneak death in kind of in his own way, and there's some classic monsters, and the castle is actually neat. It's not like a Metroidvania, Castlevania, like it's all mission based type stuff. But it's got gorgeous art design. I really like that aspect of it, but it's hard to call it Castlevania if you're used to the Metroidvania and NES style games. Like it's all like I guess for the time it was what most modern games were trying to be, like a God of War clone type.
Yeah, it was felt like Castlevania God of War.
Here's our third person action adventure game that we're calling Castlevania, and it's got those trappings of Castlevania, but maybe not quite the gameplay that fans would expect.
Yeah.
Yep. They did they kind of tried to meet in the middle with the second game there. Was it Mirror of Fate?
Yeah.
But it was a bit iffy as well.
It was iffy. It was on the 3DS, and I had it, but it didn't control very well.
Yeah.
So I didn't keep it.
Yeah. Yeah. It could have been better. And honestly, I actually didn't play Lords of Shadow 2 yet. I kind of still want to at some point just to see what it's like, but there's apparently some pretty dismal sections to it.
Yeah.
I reserve my own judgment, though. There's plenty of games where people tend to dislike it as a whole, but I still find enjoyment out of it, so at some point I'll get around to it.
No, that's fair. So, spin-off games was on this list, and I can only think of one, and that's Judgment.
Yeah. I guess that's really like the main one. Like I guess some of the ones we were talking about before are kind of considered spin-offs, like your Haunted Castle and your Game Boy games. But in terms of like completely radical out there, like games that really have nothing to do with Castlevania except the characters and setting, Judgment is it, right? Like it's a fighting game.
Yeah. I was like, just take the Castlevania characters and put them in a fighting game. And I was like, I don't know if this works the way you think it would.
We had some fun with that game, maybe in spite of itself.
Yeah, we made fun of that game's own design.
Yeah, it's a very weird and silly game.
Yeah.
It came out when, like, later in the Wii's life cycle, right?
Yeah. It was definitely a Wii exclusive.
Yeah.
And I think it was, like, in the middle of Wii's life cycle.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. I couldn't put an actual date on it.
Maybe circa 09, if I had to guess. That's just me guessing. When that came out, but yeah, that's I'm not much of a fighting game player. How did you find it? Like, I know you play a few more than I do.
In terms of a fighting game, it's pretty abysmal.
Is it?
Yeah. It has its merits. Like, it's a fun, just if you want to have two people, just go at it.
Yeah.
But the story, there wasn't really a story mode. Like, it's the classic fighter story where you just fight everyone in the roster and then you get to an ending boss.
Yeah. Wasn't the ending boss like a palette swap of death?
No, it was actually something bigger and larger.
Okay.
Because I remember having to, like, duck and dive over beams to hit him.
Okay. I feel like it was like a palette swap of death. Like, as he appeared in maybe, like, one of the games.
Yeah, he was, like, Grand Death or something.
Yeah, like the Reaper of Time or the... I don't even remember. It was something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm thinking of, anyways.
Yeah, he was some sort... Oh, yeah, he's, like, the Reaper of Time.
Yeah. I remember he was, like, an asset flip from, like, Lament of Innocence or something like that, or Curse of Darkness, it might have been. Yeah. I think it was, like, Death's design from Curse of Darkness with a few different touches to it or something.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah, speaking of, did you play those PS2 games?
I played Lament of Innocence. That's the one with Leon, right?
Yeah, you watched me play that, right?
I played through it as well.
You played through it as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I played through the one with Hector.
Okay, yeah, Curse of Darkness.
Curse of Darkness. So yeah, I did play both of them.
Okay, yeah. Those were, again, like, they're a little out there in terms of their design and just kind of a lot of, like, arena combat. But they have their moments for sure.
Yeah.
The boss fights are quite good in both of them, and some good enjoyable lore and story type stuff happening as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Speaking of Hector, we might as well talk about the show, Castlevania on Netflix.
Yeah, true enough. I guess that's really been the continuation of that series beyond what we've had since 2012 or something when Lord of the Shadow 2 came out, maybe 2014 at the latest.
So, have you seen the whole thing yet?
I have seen the first 3 seasons. I have not yet seen the last one.
Okay.
Yeah. It came out and I completely forgot to check it out. So I really need to make some time and check it out.
You should. I actually like the 4th season over all the other seasons.
Okay. Cool.
Won't spoil anything at all for you.
Fair enough. I suppose it's probably. I think I've heard it. I've heard at least it kind of wraps up what they've done so far.
Yeah.
Okay.
It leaves it as a nice little package, and if they don't come back to it, that's fine.
Okay.
I hope for a season 5, but it looks like that's not going to happen.
I hope they do what I kind of hope from the beginning for the show, which is to kind of eventually tour around a little bit and maybe like jump into the other parts of the timeline.
Yeah,
I would love to see a show based on like the 1999 plus era. Like, I would be extremely excited to see that. Yeah. And add an adaptation with Julius and Soma and all that stuff. But,
yeah, I would love to see just something where the 99 incident where Dracula was finally defeated.
If you're not going to give it to us in the game format, Konami, then at least give it to us in the Netflix adaptation. For the love of God. Yeah,
just something like kind of like. Here's what happened.
Yeah.
Because we want to know.
Yeah.
You can't just say, oh yeah, I beat Death or Dracula in 1999. Yeah, it was cool. You should have been there.
Yeah, it was so sick, man. You should have seen it. It's kind of like how we'll never get a bridge between Mega Man and Mega Man X.
Yeah, and I hate that already, and then having that in Castlevania just. All right, so the final thing to talk about on the list was Bloodstained, the spiritual successor.
Yes, so in lieu of Konami giving a shit about the series, we've got Bloodstained instead.
Yep. And have to say, not bad.
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's a pretty worthy follow-up.
The Curse of the Moon series is a very nice tribute back to the original NES days.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with Curse of the Moon, honestly.
And they tweaked it so even players like me can get it. Actually get it through it.
It's not nearly as hostile as some of those older ones, for sure.
And then the one that I got hooked on was actual Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
Yeah.
Which is a very good homage to the action platformers, or the exploration platformers, as the genre is actually called.
Yes. The Metroidvanias.
Yeah. Exploration platformer. Deal with it.
It's a silly term. Not gonna lie. People use it, so I just use it by default. But it is a silly term.
But yeah, I spent way more hours in that than I ever should have. It gave me everything I wanted in a Castlevania game.
Nice.
A good story, then they put a randomizer in, and that's the curse of my existence.
Yep. That's your weakness, that's for sure.
And just the customization. And they put, like, the different characters you can play now.
Yep.
I think recently they released Child of Light, which is from another game.
Yes, the game is called Child of Light.
Oh, okay.
So it's like I think it's an RPG if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
It was put out a few years ago as an indie game.
I just played through the game as that, and it was pretty interesting.
Nice. Yeah. For me, I did like pretty much everything about it. If I have one complaint about it, I felt there was a little too much bloat in it in terms of like some of the crafting stuff, like.
Okay, I can agree with that. The crafting and item drops of some of the enemies was really obnoxious.
Too much focus on crafting and items for my liking, honestly.
Yeah.
When I play one of those games, I really like to have a focus on one collectible at most.
Yeah.
Like the soul system is great. Like I wish it had just been that.
Yeah. See, I like when you're exploring around and you find a good sword, but not.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I like.
Make the best sword in the game, now you don't have to worry about anything.
Yep. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or good luck making the best sword in the game. The last material is in the final area.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bit too much like quest log bloat type stuff, I guess, happening in the game. I wish some of that had just been pared out and streamlined a little bit. That would be my complaint.
Alright, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Great series overall. I guess in terms of a favorite game, I didn't really say. I really like Order of Ecclesia a lot. I'd say it's probably between that and Symphony for me.
Okay.
For the Metroidvanias, and then Rondo for the classic Vanias, just as a quick top three.
Dawn of Sorrow definitely was one of my tops.
Yeah.
Ecclesia and even Portrait of Ruin. I like the DS.
The DS games are amazing, man.
Yeah.
The two DS games would be right behind the ones that I mentioned.
Yeah.
That's my top 5.
Right. The DS had the best Castlevanias.
I agree. I know Dawn gets some hate because of its anime-looking designs rather than the classic Gothic style, and also the drawing seals for bosses.
Yeah.
But despite that, I still think it had one of the best boss rosters in the entire series. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it for that.
Alright, with that though, we'll call the episode here, so thank you all very much for listening in.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks so much.